Greetings, y'all. Hope everybody is doing wonderful on this beautiful, exquisite July day. It is the beginning of my couple of weeks child free, so I knew I needed to make a video and check in and make a few things clear. But I decided to do it by the pool because I am trying to soak up as much of this child free time and vacay time as I possibly can. Hey, Sister Erin. So, what I want to discuss and get into just a little bit is why I teach witchcraft, why this is something that I chose to do, and how I know that this is destiny. Hey. So, for me, teaching witchcraft came quite naturally because, well, where to start? First of all, I was born through a witch who was raised by a witch. So I was born and raised by a witch who was born and raised by a witch. So it is hereditary in my family. So that's the beginning. That's first of all. Second of all, when I was 25, I was initiated into the Orisha priesthood as a priestess of Oshun. After working with Oshun for many years and working as an esteemed member of the Orisha priesthood for many years, what I began to realize and notice was that even with access to our ancestral spirits, even with access to the power that we use to create those wonderful empires that our ancestors lived in West Africa and beyond, even with access to all of that, we were still, saying very bad connection. Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can. Okay, here we go. Got it back to a good connection. So even with access to all of that, as a people, what I saw that for the most part we were still and are still living with a gross misunderstanding of power. So women are living with the gross misunderstanding that in order to get what they want from life, they have to allow themselves to be subdued and oppressed. Men are living with the gross misunderstanding that in order to get what they want from life, that they must be domineering and abusive and controlling. And living out these two lies and these two actual Greco-Roman fantasies of how men and women should relate to each other, when we live out those two lies, we are blocking ourselves from our power. We have a complete and total misunderstanding of what power is, and we are blocking ourselves from our power. Okay, if I move the camera out, then that's when we lose connection. So I'll try to keep it close to me like this so that the connection can stay steady. And so as I watched men and women relate to each other in that way, and as I watched Black people relate to each other in that way, and I watched the fact that not having access to our actual source and our actual power was the root of not only the issues in the Black community, but was the root of the issues that we're facing on Earth Mother Onile as a whole. When I began to watch and pay attention and understand that this gross misunderstanding of power is what is putting the world in danger, and definitely what is destroying our community and then destroying humankind as a whole. So as I watched that, I knew that it was incumbent upon me as a priestess of Oshun, as a hereditary witch, as a Black woman, as a descendant of the Morrigan and Morgan Le Fay, I knew that it was incumbent upon me to try to explain and to try to teach people what the actual source of power is and how to access that power. So my teaching of witchcraft is based upon making sure that every woman who is a witch, who knows in her heart that she is a witch, knows how to access the power that she needs, knows the source of the power, and knows how to access that power. I make sure that every man who was born and who knows that he is a wizard, who knows that he is a sorcerer, who knows that he is a magician, every man that is born with that knowledge, I make sure that they understand the source of their power and that they have unlimited access to that power. So that is what my classes are for. Spell casting, knowledge of crystals, knowledge of herbs, all of those things are essential. Different spells, ancient spells that have been used, the ways in which people have worked with the spirits, the ways in which people have communed with the spirits, all of those things are essential to know. But none of your casting will be effective if you are not standing in your power. And for the most part, people are not standing in their power. So my classes are created to put you squarely back in the seat of your power. So I wanted to make that clear. I know that I make videos and I say, oh, we have classes coming up. Please join class if you're interested in learning about witchcraft. But I want to be abundantly clear about exactly what I mean when I say learning about witchcraft. Exactly what I mean when I say I teach witchcraft. Exactly what I mean by the term witchcraft. It is the craft of those who stand squarely and securely in their power. And I chose the term witchcraft on purpose. I did not choose the term conjure woman. I did not choose the term bruja, although I have the utmost respect for all of these terms. I did not choose any hoodoo woman. I didn't choose those terms because in this course I specifically teach witchcraft. A black woman reserves the option to call her magic whatever the hell she wants to call it. And so I reserve the option to teach the understanding of witchcraft and all of the etymological truth behind the term witchcraft, as well as the negative and positive connotations behind the term witchcraft. I teach all of that. Okay, so when I teach the craft to men, when I teach the craft to women, I am teaching you the actual source of your power, how to stand in that power, and how to use that power. That is what I'm teaching you. We go into spell crafting, we go into herbs, we go into crystals, but sorry y'all, connection got bad again. The purpose of the class for me is to make sure that everybody who comes through my class is standing in their power. Not out here making themselves a target for abuse, as we as women have been taught that we're supposed to do, and not out here being abusive, as men have been taught that they are supposed to do. I celebrate all forms of femininity, each and every beautiful form and way that femininity comes into this world. I celebrate all forms of masculinity, each and every beautiful way that masculinity chooses to manifest in this world. I teach men that you don't have to be an abusive asshole in order to be masculine. I help men to break out of the cycle of toxic masculinity and of that fragile male ego that they've been taught is necessary. This is part of what I teach in my Black Wizard class. Wizards of the Perfect Black is what I'm calling it. So just to give you a little bit of information for my Black Witchcraft class and my Wizards of the Perfect Black class, I do 8 classes. I've changed the format as I told you for the last session. So the first class is why black and why witchcraft, so that you gain an understanding of why I use the term black as opposed to African, indigenous, or any other term, and also why I use the term witchcraft. From there, we go on into the source of power. What is the source of power? What is power? What does it mean to be powerful? And how is that different from what we've been taught that it was? What is power? And what is the source of the power that keeps the universe rolling and moving and dancing? We move from there into the metaphysical nature of the black woman and the true nature of the black man. And we move from there into the Iyamiaje. And we learn about the Iyamiaje coming out of the tradition of the Yoruba people of West Africa, because black people in the West come from a West African root. So as black people in the West, those of us who live in the United States, in the UK, who live in the Caribbean, who live anywhere in the Western world, our root is West African. So it is important to understand power from a West African perspective. So I do teach a class on the Iyami Aje, Iyami Oshorongo, also known as Awan Iya. All right. From there, we go on to learn about moon cycles and earth cycles. We learn about herbs and crystals. We learn about deities. And the final class is a group spell, where all of the witches in the witchcraft class and all of the wizards in the wizard class come together and perform a spell for certain agreed upon things that we are all trying to achieve. So that's the part 1 class. This is the Black Witchcraft class that I've been teaching for the past, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years. I'm not sure. But that is the class that I've been teaching. For this session, I have added a part 2. And I added a part 2 because so many of the sister witches that I had taught part 1 kept asking me for a part 2. They didn't want the information to stop. They didn't want our connection to stop. They didn't want our communion and our time of coming together to stop. So they asked me to create a part 2, and Mother did that at the behest of those who wanted her to. Ooh, y'all, this connection is so iffy. So I pray that the video is coming out okay. So for the part 2, what we will be working on is centering and grounding yourself in your self-love, your self-image. How do you stay totally and completely grounded and focused in exactly who and what you are? Class 1 teaches you what you are, teaches you your reason for living and your purpose in the universe. Class 2 teaches you how to stay grounded in that purpose day by day. You cannot cast spells from a purpose or from a perspective of powerlessness. You cannot cast spells from a patriarchal perspective. It is impossible. The patriarchal perspective, as I said before, disconnects both men and women from the actual source of power. So you cannot cast spells from that perspective because you're disconnected from your source. All right. Part 2, as I said, will deal with grounding yourself in your self-love and in your selfhood. I will have a seduction class. The women in my family are adept at seduction and sex magic. So I was raised within a household that thrived off of those particular types and styles of magic. So I'm going to introduce the sister witches and the brother wizards that take this class to the rudimentaries of seduction and sex magic. And this is part 2. After we have worked on seduction, we've worked on sex magic, we will go into invocation, offerings, and communion with the spirits. And this is all in part 2. So I'm letting the information is what the part 1 class is about. If you're in part 1 and you know that you need to deepen your know to regress back committed to exactly who you are, then part 2 is for you. Okay, this connection is iffy, y'all. If I need to remake the video, I will, but I apologize for the bad connection. I am outside at the pool, so that's probably what it is. So part 2 is for those who have already taken part 1 but need to be recentered in themselves and need to have an introduction to sex magic, to orgasmic magic, and to seduction. And how are these 2 things essential to the craft? How are they utilized? What are they for? And why are they part of the craft? and invocation, offerings, and communion with the Spirit, just to get more in depth, because I do teach a class in deities, but this particular class in part 2 goes more in depth in exactly how to invoke the spirits, what type of offerings you make to the spirits, and ways in which to commune with the spirits. So as I said, I hope this video comes out okay. If it doesn't, I'll make another one later on this evening, you guys. Sorry, my focus got off. I'm looking at somebody else. So I'll make another one this evening if this particular one is not as clear as it needs to be. If you are interested in taking either part 1 or part 2, please visit my website, www.gottobeoshun.com. GOT, the number 2, the letter BOSHUN .com. Visit my website, and all of the classes are listed by name. So if you are a woman and you haven't taken my Black Witchcraft class, then you would sign up for Black Witchcraft 1. If you have taken my witchcraft class, you would sign up for Black Witchcraft 2. If you are a man and you haven't taken the wizard class, you would sign up for Wizard 1, Wizards of the Perfect Black 1. If you have taken the wizard class, you're going to sign up for Wizard 2. Okay, so they're listed according to which class it is. As always, you can pay your entire tuition fee up front, or you can pay it weekly, because I don't want cost to be a barrier. So I do have it broken down in installments for those who need to pay it in installments. I understand that financial resources are essential, and I don't want to be draining anyone of their resources. So please, if you're interested in understanding your source of power, reconnecting with your source of power, and beginning to operate in your life from true power as opposed to domination and control, please reach out and take the classes. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I hope and pray that the video was okay. If not, as I said, I'll remake it though. You guys know how I do. Peace, love, light, ecstasy, abundance, and bliss. To all of those within the sound of my voice who are wishing the same for me and mine. And as always, the lessons of life to those who are wishing us otherwise. All right, peace, y'all.